I had a glimpse of my true nature, of a facet or quality of who I am beyond ego. And that lasted for some time. And then I got pulled back into the story. I just forgot who I was and identified with the ego once again. Don't feel like a failure because you seem to have lost sight of that. What's happening there is that you, life, are shifting your focus, and sometimes you seem to fixate on parts of your experience, your ever-changing experience. And that fixation creates a sense of solidity and identification with the things you're giving attention to, whether that be a thought, the body, or some possession, or some activity, some event, some situation. Once you become identified with any aspects of the relative, you're going to feel swayed by the forces of desire and fear. So we're talking about the possibility of relaxing your attention, your focus, and seeing the bigger picture, so to speak, to use an overused saying. But it's like that. It's always accessible. It's always at hand. And you can reconnect to it at any time. What you fixate on is what you seem to become, because you don't really become anything, because you are always life and you are no thing in that sense. But you can experience yourself as anything, which is why you are both no thing as the absolute and everything as the relative. You can always come back to that which never changes. You never are disconnected from that. You are always that. And sometimes your attention moves to particular aspects or expressions of that. And that's actually okay. That's what's happening. That's the mode you're in right now. And that's okay.
Like you said, sometimes our attention moves to certain things in the relative. And, you feel like, oh, I've just been so caught up in something, whatever, caught up in work. I've been so caught up in fight with my significant other or relatives. That feeling of caught upness is as a result of like a hyper fixation, shall we say, on content. So when I refer to content, I mean the form. So anything in the manifestation, because obviously what you are is not part of the manifestation. It's the formless. So when you get identified with the content, that's when you get that feeling of like, I've been caught up or I've been absorbed. And then we automatically feel this is too overwhelming. And a lot of people don't really know what to do with that. It's like, I'm so caught up. And then we've been taught to engage in more of the form. We've been taught to, go walk outside and do yoga and meditate. As formless, close to formless as those activities sound, they're actually still form. And I'm not saying they're not beneficial. Of course, they can settle the body and the mind, but they're not necessarily a long-term plan. So you're gonna take a walk out in nature and you go, I feel way more relaxed now. But then you'll see that your baseline threshold is still quite high for that hyperfixation. So then as soon as you get a call from your boss, there we go again, you get absorbed back in, because as long as you're dealing with form to release form, you're going to stay at that threshold. But now what we're suggesting is when you're overwhelmed by form in some way, to tune into a formless facet of your true nature. So, and just to remind anyone listening that life has no preference for what it gives attention to. So, like we've said before, attention is a very special function. Attention is like a local awareness. And we know by now awareness is, we could say, your true self, just as a concession for now. So attention is like awareness making its little laser beam, localizing itself and putting itself into something via this human vessel. So that's what's so special about attention. Although attention is not awareness because it's small and it's local and it's personal, So I can have my attention on something when another person can have their attention on something else. It is still a funnel back to what we are. And that's why attention is so powerful. That's why it's introduced so much as a tool in meditation. Put attention on the breath. Put attention on a mantra. Do not pay attention to thoughts. Because this funnel, this awareness funnel called attention, when fixated, is literally, it's taking the formless and putting it into that form. It's super important. It's not just, then again, like in spirituality now, there's what you focus on, you attract. That's just like a very super spiritual way of saying what we're saying. And it's close, but we're getting more technical. We're saying that if you focus too much with your attention on a particular thought, that thought will become your reality. So if you focus too much on the thought, I'm limited, or I'm a person, or how can I get out of this personhood, that is actively creating your experience. It's creating your reality. You are not a person. However, you have hyperfixated using your attention on a belief or a thought that says, I'm separate. And because of the power of our attention and the creation power of awareness, it has the freedom to adopt that identity.